Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the incredibly complex and, let's be real, sometimes totally dizzying world of Indian agricultural policy. Because the truth is, every single farmer operates within this massive web of rules. It literally dictates everything, from the minimum support price for your crops to how much subsidy you get for fertilizer, right down to which export markets you can actually access. So, our goal today? We're going to translate those dense, bureaucratic regulations into practical, actionable knowledge for your farm. Let's see how these policies shape pretty much every single aspect of your daily farming life.
All right, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with 1, the policy framework, then move on to 2, regulating your farm inputs, 3, navigating markets and MSP, 4, trade, finance, and climate, and we'll wrap it all up with 5, shaping your farming future.
Okay, jumping right into Section 1, the policy framework. Essentially, who actually makes the rules?
So, in India's federal system, agriculture is technically a state subject, right? But the power is very much shared. The central government, they handle the massive nationwide levers. We're talking setting minimum support prices, managing international trade, regulating seeds and pesticides, and running national research through ICAR. But on the flip side, the state governments handle the stuff that hits your daily routine. They're the ones managing your extension services, agricultural universities, irrigation, rural roads, and those local APMC mandis. Now, why does this distinction actually matter? Well, it shows you exactly where to aim your advocacy. Complaining to the central government about a local state irrigation issue, or vice versa, it's just not going to get you anywhere.
Moving right along to Section 2, regulating your farm inputs. We're talking everything from seeds to pesticides here. Look, understanding the policies around what goes into your soil directly protects your bottom line and your market access for sure. Let's take seeds first. The Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act actually empowers you, clearly outlining your specific rights to save, use, exchange, and even sell your farm-saved seeds. Then there's fertilizer. The government pumps tens of thousands of crores into subsidies every year to keep urea prices artificially low, which is huge for your upfront costs, though, heads up, reforms are on the horizon to deal with soil health and nitrogen overuse. And finally, safety. Complying with Insecticides Act bans on highly toxic stuff like monocrotophos? Well, it isn't just red tape. It literally protects your health and makes sure buyers don't reject your crops for illegal chemical residues. Next up, Section 3, navigating markets and MSP. Let's talk prices and procurement. Now, we hear about MSP constantly on the news, right? But let's really define what the minimum support price actually is. Basically, it's your financial safety net. It's a price floor recommended by the CACP, calculated using production costs and supply-demand balances. The whole idea here is to make sure you get a reasonable return and, most importantly, to stop you from having to make panic sales when the market is totally flooded and prices crash. But here is the kicker. Despite how often it dominates the headlines, the central government actually only announces MSPs for 23 specific commodities a year. That covers your major cereals like rice and wheat, pulses like tur and mung, oilseeds like mustard, and commercial crops like cotton and sugarcane. Now, there is a massive gap between the policy on paper and the reality in the field. Effective procurement is heavily limited by geography and crop type. Honestly, it mostly just happens for rice and wheat, and largely in specific states. Think Punjab, Haryana, and Madhya Pradesh, run through the Food Corporation of India. If you're growing other MSP crops in other states, you often just can't access that price floor, even when the market tanks. And this exact gap between policy and practice is precisely why legally guaranteeing MSP for all crops is such a hotly debated, passionate issue across the board today.
But the landscape is shifting, and reforms are definitely building out your selling options. Traditionally, you were pretty much locked into the APMC mandis, those state-regulated wholesale markets with licensed commission agents. They gave you infrastructure, sure, but historically they also threw out barriers to selling directly to buyers. Today, though, new doors are swinging open. The ENAM platform, the Electronic National Agriculture Market, is really taking off in states like Karnataka. We're also seeing a surge in private market infrastructure, direct buying by food processors, and contract farming. Basically, if you can meet the quality and consistency specs, you're starting to access significantly better prices through these new channels, right alongside the traditional mandi system.
Okay, Section 4, trade, finance, and climate. Time to zoom out and look at the global and environmental forces at play. If you ever wonder why staying on top of policy matters to your wallet, just look at this number right here, 4%. Thanks to government interest subvention schemes, you can grab short-term crop loans up to 3 lakh rupees at an incredibly low subsidized rate of just 4% a year. That is a massive chunk of financial support. But, and it's a big but, you have to make sure you're properly enrolled, usually through a Kisan credit card, to actually lock in that rate and protect your finances.
Of course, financing is just one piece of the puzzle. You also have crop insurance, like PMFBY, which is absolutely crucial. But since there are known hurdles with delayed claims and yield disputes, you've got to be meticulous about documenting your losses to push those claims through. And get this, your profits aren't just at the mercy of the local weather, they're tied to global politics. The government frequently slaps on sudden export bans. We just saw it with onions, sugar, and rice to keep domestic prices down for consumers. But that directly hits your income when global prices are peaking. On top of that, World Trade Organization rules actively cap how much the Indian government can even support you, dividing policies into green box ones that are allowed and amber box ones that are strictly capped. It's a really tricky balancing act.
And we really can't ignore the environment anymore, because honestly, environmental policies are rapidly becoming agricultural policies. As groundwater depletion gets worse, you can absolutely expect tighter rules on pumping rights and irrigation costs. There are also strict land use regulations if you ever want to convert fields or build processing units. But hey, it's not all red tape and restrictions. Position yourself early for emerging global carbon credit and ecosystem service markets. It's not just about sustainability, it's literally about securing future revenue streams for your farm. The folks who figure out how to tap into biodiversity credits right now are going to capture the most value as these markets explode.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Shaping Your Farming Future. How do you go from just reacting to these rules to actively influencing them?
Look, agricultural policy doesn't just fall from the sky. It's shaped by the people who actually show up. So how do you get involved? Basically, it comes down to 3 practical steps. First, join a farmer organization, a co-op, or a farmer-producer organization. Doing that instantly multiplies your individual voice. Second, get involved in public consultations. Keep an eye on the Agriculture Department's websites and submit real, informed comments on new legislation so the farmer's perspective is officially on the record. And third, vote. Advocate. Talk to your local elected representatives, because a politician who genuinely understands what you're dealing with on the ground is way more likely to fight for policies that actually have your back.
So I'm going to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on as you head back out to your fields today. The farmers who are the most active and informed, they are the ones whose interests actually show up in the final policy. So policy either happens to you or you happen to policy. Which will you choose this season? Find the one issue hitting your business the hardest right now, find the group fighting for it, and get involved. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the tools to take charge of your farming future.